Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm Selena Roane and this is Close to Death and it's powered by Fear Paranormal. Tonight I'm very, very excited to introduce you guys to the king and queen of the vampire court of Austin, which is Logan and Daley. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing great, how are you?
I'm awesome. I had you guys on because, of course, our girl Alyssa, who is a mutual friend of ours, has been trying to educate me on what being a vampire is all about. Because a lot of people think Twilight. They think all this other stuff like True Blood. You know what I mean?
Let's balance it with something that doesn't suck so much.
Right? Yeah, exactly. True Blood's pretty awesome. They're getting a little out there with the fairy stuff, but the other stuff's pretty awesome. And
a lot of that fairy stuff is actually a bit more real than you might suspect, too.
Oh, I see. So the first question I have for you guys is, how did you guys meet?
Which one of us you want to do?
Go ahead. His story's better than mine.
Okay.
It's the same story.
I know, but from your perspective, it was better than mine.
We met around the time when I first moved here to Austin, and I was just getting settled in. I had found Elysium and really started to consider that a new kind of haven that I had here in Austin, Texas. And, well, I had dyed my hair completely platinum blonde at the time, and I was
just, short and platinum.
Yeah, just trying out a new look, and I figured I'd go for the Billy Idol angle for a little while, and I don't think it looked too bad. But I happened upon our mutual friends at the time, and got to talking with her about how I was looking into fangsmithing and how I'd been working with fangs for about 4 years prior to that. And I had tried all of these different ways and everything, and I finally landed on doing it on the acrylic method, which I'm using today. And she goes, "Oh, well, I've got a friend right now who she's got fangs, and she would love that. She would love to talk to you, I'm sure." Well, oh, okay, great. And right at the moment that we're sitting there talking about her, all of a sudden, here comes Daley busting out the front doors of the club. Like, she is just high on life and twice as happy. And she just comes running out and just nearly runs smack into me. And I turn around, and there's this gorgeous girl with fangs. And then our friend goes, "Oh, yep, well, here you go. Here she is. This is Daley. Logan Daley." And right then, we just we instantly had a click and just got it. Just had a good sense about each other and what we were. And then it was a couple years later, after I had invited her to a few events and some parties and stuff, and she pulled the typical girl thing of ignoring just about
we were both
everything that I could send, and up until the point where finally I had started my company Nocturnity, and I started producing the vampire-themed events at nightclubs in North Austin, and had been talking to Elysium about putting on events there as well. And she walked in, and it was probably about 5 minutes in before she just turned to me and said, "I want it," and just immediately had this pull to everything that I was doing. And from that moment on, she became my partner in business, and then shortly after that became my partner in life. And then shortly after that, we wound up forming the Vampire Court of Austin and getting everyone together because everyone loved the event so much and what it was doing for vampire culture here that eventually they all decided that it would be a good idea to look at coming together and forming something for all of us. And during that time, they nominated Daley and I to run the court and chose us for those positions of king and queen, which are our jobs. It's more a job than anything else.
Yeah, I saw that because I watched the True Life episode that you guys were on, and a while back, but I reviewed it today just to kind of buffer up on my education here, and I was looking at. You do have a little bit of a job trying to keep all these vampires acting correctly. I see some of them out of control.
It's been said since the early '90s that trying to get a group of vampires to do anything is like herding cats.
Yes, well, it's like trying to get 15 lesbians to agree on a boat, and all of us get on it without any issues. Trust me.
You know, I've never had such an experience.
He's willing.
I'm friends with enough lesbians, and I'm friends with enough people who own boats that I think I've got something to try in my future. Thank you.
Hey, we can do that. Sounds like a blast. Well, another thing is a lot of people have, like I said, the misconceptions about True Blood. Let's just go with True Blood. So how close is it that, my cousin's sending me messages, are they like Twilight, or are they da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like,
I saw that.
All right, well,
watch the show.
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to give it the better note to start off on, but I'll tell you what, let me hit the other one first, and tell you that vampires, in no way, shape, or form, real or mythological, from any of the mythos from across the world, resemble anything in Twilight. Twilight is the bane of my vampiric existence. I hate it on a cellular level. If I could destroy every memory ever created by Twilight, reverse time, and pluck it from the world, I would do that in a skinny heartbeat. It has been the most damaging thing to vampire culture, if not to goth culture, and anything in a darker realm, than anything else that's ever come before. Vampires do not sparkle. And I'll tell you this.
Unless they're gay vampires.
Well, yeah. unless you openly decide to wear glitter, and that's your choice. And trust me, there have been some nights when I've come out of a gentleman's club, and I may have had a little twinkle across my cheeks. But other than that, no sparkling. Honestly, we did have a word back in the day for fangless, sparkly creatures that ran through the woods, and we called them fairies. So that's
right.
That's far closer to Tinkerbell than it is to vampires. Yeah. But True Blood, as you were asking, is actually it's one of those shows to where obviously there is a load of fictional development involved in the franchise. I mean, it wouldn't sell if it didn't have that, but it does take a pretty close note to the real mythos, the real mythology of vampirism, the history of not only vampirism through that mythos, but also in vampire culture. A lot of the show and a lot of what they do, I believe the writers actually did a little bit of their own research on not only how a vampire community would work in large, but how it actually does, because a lot of the structure and organization that they have for, say, Area 5, which is supposed to be in Shreveport, Louisiana, up to the King of Louisiana that they have there, and different branches and nests and everything that they have. Like, the terminology changes back and forth, but in some cases, not all cases, because there isn't the big grand authority like they have in the show, but in a lot of cases...
a lot of people that think they're the authority.
Right. But in a lot of cases, there are some real elements to what they took from real vampire culture, which has always been around in one form or another. There have been plenty of vampire communities in existence for probably 150 to 200 years in the United States alone. But modern vampire culture is what people associate with vampire culture. When you say vampire culture, you think from the 90s on, because that was the only time that it became publicly acceptable for vampires to merge within modern society. After goth culture took over in the 80s, suddenly the vampires looked at it and went, well, there's a wonderful blend for us. Here are people that already have our aesthetic. Here are people that already have a lust for the darker side of life. Now we can go in and we can blend easily within this culture with people that have common interests, and it can be socially acceptable for us to come out and say, I'm a vampire, because now the goth culture has been so widely accepted. I think that this will be a good step, and that's what a lot of people ran with, and I believe that actually started in large part in New York City in the warehouse and nightclub districts in about 1991.
Wow. So there's
is that clear enough for you? Get a lot of information?
Yeah, that's awesome though, because that's exactly what I need. You know, Alyssa sends me little tutorials. I like the little private tutorials she sends me, and trying to educate me, because I am open-minded. and I support whatever she does, you know, and I feel really happy that you guys have made her feel comfortable finally and loved and accepted, because
Melissa is one of my best friends now. Absolutely.
She's awesome. She is so cool. I mean, and that's why I'm willing to, you know, I never even knew this really existed in true life. I thought it was just Hollywood. You know what I mean? I had no idea. I was like, she said, I'm hanging out with my vampire people, and I'm like, what? Yeah. What's that? And she's like, well, let me show you. So that, you know, she's showing me all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I had questions, and this is my audience questions. What about they think you suck blood and all that? I'm like, in these days, it's probably not the safest thing to do, just to walk up and start. They don't just walk up and do that, you know?
Yeah.
So explain that part of it to us.
Well, it is a very taboo sort of thing, even in the community itself. Mm-hmm. And that's because of the lot of speculation that it draws, because of the spotlight that it can cast in such a negative light at times. Now, feeding from blood, as there are 3 different major types of vampires. You have your sanguinarian, which is your traditional blood feeder, something that you've obviously heard about through not only television, but real vampire mythos. And then you have an energy feeder or a psychic vampire. And then you have a pranic or sexual feeder, which can draw from sexual energy. Now, feeding from blood...
She's like, yes, I'm aware of that type.
Yes, I like those.
Feeding from blood can be very dangerous, and it is taboo because of the danger associated. Daley and I in our court, we are never going to tell anyone what to do or how to do it. Your choices in feeding a vampire are completely wrong. No one can tell you that there is a right or wrong way, because it may be the right or wrong way for them, but that doesn't mean it is for this other individual over here. For us, in our court, what we have taken as our prime stance on feeding is we embrace multiple paths, as long as everything is done with a consenting donor in the safest environment possible. Within the territories of Austin, Texas, ruled over by the Vampire Court of Austin, it is illegal by our mandated law to feed from anyone that is unwilling. It's barbaric, it's unsafe, it's illegal by human law. So, by any means, it should be illegal by our law as well.
And not just blood feeding, but psychic energy feeding as well is also illegal.
Right,
too.
which I saw you.
Right, now ambient energy, if you're in a big crowd, if you're at a concert, and that energy is free-floating, because if you've ever been to a concert, you feel that rush of energy, and that energy is free for the taking, essentially. It's not directly from one specific person. Right. So you can feed ambiently without an issue.
So we believe in embracing multiple paths, and using what works for you, leaving nothing off the table, but doing everything in the safest environment possible. So with Daley and I, if we ever decide that we need to feed directly from blood, feed sanguinely at any point in time, we have screened donors that have had their blood thoroughly tested and checked repeatedly, so that way we ensure that we are being safe and that they're being safe.
Exactly. And that, you know, that's the energy vampire I can totally get, because, you know, Alyssa, we talked about it before, when she goes to investigation, she likes to do it alone, because other people's energy is just sometimes overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I can understand that. I'm an empath, and so when I walk into places, I can feel your crap and their crap, and I don't even know what's their crap and my crap. So I'm working on trying to fix that. But you know, when I watch True Life and your coworker, you fed off of her, you know, from her energy, and that's what people don't understand. When I say the word vampire, they're like, ugh, and I'm like, not all of them suck blood. I said, not all of them do all that. I said, and don't be freaked out if they do, because that's their business. I said, that's their choice. The thing is, I think where Alyssa is the energy vampire type, and you know, I told her, I said, you know, you can have my energy. Hell, you can even bite me if you want to. So I'm a willing participant. I just want to educate myself and educate my audience so that they understand when the word vampire is said, because that's what your job, that's what you said your goal is, yes. Daley, is to change that perception. So I'm trying to help you change that perception, because Alyssa is my friend, and you two are a very important part of her life. And so, she admires and respects your opinion, and so you are the utmost person to ask about these things.
Well, you definitely have a good friend. She's one of the most genuine people that I've ever known. And from the moment that we met her, she instantly clicked with the both of us. And she's become one of the most valued members of our court. And she is an absolutely, completely interesting individual. And to have a vampire that is also a ghost hunter is a very interesting thing. And when she told you that, she likes to do it alone, I think there's even more of a scope there than you may even realize, because for a vampire to go into that particular field and deal with that particular type of energy on a constant basis, for us, at least for Daley and I won't speak for absolutely everyone, but for at least Daley and I, we are very sensitive when it comes to human energies.
Or energies in general.
And that's what I was going to go on to, is that when you have human energies being produced constantly through living human energy, that's one thing. That's enough to get something peaked in your mind and in your psyche. But when you're dealing with human energy that's passed on, or that rather hasn't completed any transition and is still here, it creates kind of a different vibration that can be almost deafening, given situations like I'm sure you've been involved in, where you go into some place that is really haunting. Yes. And you have that energy that anyone would be able to sense and go, oh, wow, this is something interesting, maybe even terrifying. For a vampire, it's kind of like taking all of that in at once. And so if you have other people and other energies coming in at that same time, I can't speak for her directly, but if it were me, my head would be spinning. And I would be yelling at people to get out and let me just do this thing alone, because, trust me, I've been there, and it is, as a vampire, it's a doozy.
Yeah.
So, I don't envy her in her field, but I understand the attraction to it. But I don't envy her on having to try to filter all of that out, because that
she's promised me she's going to take me ghost hunting at some point, so...
Well, you know what? That would be very cool. And she's also promised to go with me, but I kind of just want to stand back and kind of observe. I told her, however, the shit that she wears on her outfits that she wears, I would probably be a little distracted from the actual ghost hunting. So I don't know how much ghost hunting or investigating I would actually do, but I could film her and
she is a hot woman.
No, I'd love to
come
see.
out and say it.
I'd love to see Daley and Melissa go ghost hunting together. It'd be like watching two goth Barbies run around through their dream house.
Exactly. And I've told Melissa a couple times all the photos that Daley and her put up. I'm like, you are trying to kill the common person here. What is it about you vampire girls? Even I told my wife, I go, I don't know what it is about these vampire
chicks. Do you like that photo of me, her, and our other friend Priscilla all covered in blood? Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't see the full scope of it until I got on Twitter, because, Facebook, it was half, and I was like, wow. And then I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, holy shit, I'm saving this picture. So
I have a lot of hot.
And I got to say, that is such a strange Austin-specific thing that I've seen. There's something about the court that we have here that has just not only attracted so many vampires, but so many ridiculously good-looking vampires. Like,
it must
our
be
entire court is just full of good-looking people, and I'm just sitting back going, how did you have it? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, I know other courts and covens and organizations from all across the world, and from here to South Africa, and like they have plenty of good-looking people. Don't get me wrong, but like the amount, like per capita, like of vampires in Austin versus everywhere else on an attractive scale is just so ridiculous. I know. I don't think we have a single unattractive member. I'm sitting back going, wait a minute.
Well, it may also be that most of the people in our court, we have a very diverse court. We've got people of all shapes and sizes, all of ethnicities.
Yeah.
but they all know how to take care of themselves. They all dress well. They all, know how to do their hair. They all like to dress and look nice. So I think that also helps a lot.
Yeah.
It does. or it could be both your charm that just attracts those kind of people. I don't know, but you do. I was looking over the True Life, and I'm like, wow. I said, I think her name might be Serenity or Priscilla. I'm not really sure. And then that's Alyssa, and I thought that might be AJ with her. I'm not sure. I've never seen him not dressed up, just like normal. I've never seen him like that, so I thought it was probably her. Yeah, hanging on her shoulder. I wasn't sure, but yeah, I mean, I didn't see anyone that wasn't attractive, and I was like, when I show y'all's pictures, they're like, wow, they're just so good looking. And I'm like, and my cousin asked, are y'all going to age? That's the next question. Do you age? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see if they do.
It's a funny story. Because Daley and I, from, all the photographic records that we have and from our own personal understanding and from the acknowledgement of our own parents, haven't aged since we were 15 when we had our awakening. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't, and it doesn't mean that we haven't at all. It's probably just a bit slower. Now, I can tell you that I have filled in a little bit on the facial hair. Right now, I'm a little scruffy today since I was 15. But other than that, take a look at our Buffy Angel photo shoot that we did. That was just last year, and that was just because I cut my hair and I took out the contacts for it. And
he looks like a 16-year-old.
Yeah, it matches up perfectly with my high school yearbook pictures. And it's very strange for me because I'm 27 now, and not a wrinkle, not a change in my physique at all. Both of us are also we have a very high metabolism, and so
yeah, I know
we eat whatever we want and just can't manage to put on weight no matter how hard we try.
Some of mine. I mean, seriously. I have a skinny girl in here somewhere, but I'm just keeping her warm and protected. Right? Alyssa told me
from all the polls that I've read, they do a lot of different polls and stuff within the vampire community to kind of gauge how everyone's reacting. And it seems that the majority of the vampire community ages slower than the average individual. It doesn't mean that they're not going to age at all. Like one day, yes, when we're 80, 90 years old, we'll probably look, old. But we do tend to age a little bit slower. Also, we both have parents that we just have really good genetics as well, so that helps.
Well, there's also, I was going to say there's certain scientific factors at play, obviously. Yeah, our parents, my parents are in their mid-60s, and they don't look a day over 40. My father just started getting his first few gray hairs, so there's that. But
my dad just won the Ironman triathlon.
Yeah.
And he's 65, 66 now.
Yeah. But in addition, as vampires that have a certain negative reaction to sunlight, we never see it. So there's also the probability that not being in the sun has anti-aging effects, that you are more weathered by sunlight and that your skin ages more progressively if you are constantly in sunlight versus us not being in it at all and never having to worry about that.
Yeah. Well, Daley only has to worry about it when she jumps in the car to go to work and get out at work. I think it's the only time.
Actually, I don't have a day job anymore. I quit my day job.
So,
wow.
So I am 100% nocturnal now.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was right after the MTV episode. I finally, they came to me. Yeah, they came to me and they said, hey, we need you to leave your outside life outside of work. And to me, that's a perfectly acceptable thing for a job that's paying you, to not be at work thinking about and doing things for your life outside of that job. But for me, as the queen of the Vampire Court of Austin, I can't do that. I am constantly working. I'm constantly keeping tabs and talking to people and doing important things. I can't, put that on pause for any period of time. So right. I put in my 2 weeks notice at that point, and I think that's been since April. I've been without my day job, and it's been great. I absolutely love it.
Well,
you look rested.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just woke up.
We've also afforded a few unique opportunities over the last few months that we're still in the process of working out through all of them, but it's allowed us to be a little bit more free in our schedules. And so now we're really amping up to completing all of those goals, and we've got a lot prepared right now for the Austin Vampire Ball and some new things that we're trying to do and that we're going to be unveiling here over the course of the next month. And so hopefully we can get a lot of support, and so far we have. But last year, we absolutely sold out. We sold the entire club out at complete capacity, if not over. And this year, we did the Austin Vampire Carnival at our midway point here for, the midway point to the Austin Vampire Ball, and so we could sell tickets for the Austin Vampire Ball. And during that, we actually wound up selling as many tickets for the carnival as we had the ball. And then we sold several $100s worth of tickets for the ball during the carnival. So now we're looking at things with that Jaws kind of moment going, I think we need a bigger boat, because everybody is trying to come in now at the same time, and all of these tickets keep selling. And we're worried that they're all going to sell out, and we're not going to have enough space to accommodate everybody who wants to go. So we're working with a couple of things right now to kind of maximize and expand that. And a lot of the projects that we've been working on have afforded us that opportunity. And as I said, I hope we can get even more support to give Austin something even bigger and better.
Well, you got my support, and I'm sure after tonight my audience is going to be a little bit more understanding about what it's all about, because I think, like you said, when people don't understand things or they're ignorant of subjects, it scares them sometimes. It causes them to be fearful of things they don't know, they don't understand. And so, a lot of this is totally cool to me, and I'm like more open-minded than the next person, I guess, because I kind of grew up being kind of bullied as well for being gay, so I totally relate to how everybody treats you differently when you're not just like they are. And I had a couple of questions about the Vampire Ball. When you throw the Vampire Ball, is that for the public to come? Is that just okay?
It's for everyone.
Okay.
The Vampire Ball is hosted by the Vampire Club Austin. We all come together and we put in everything that we've got to make this the biggest and best showcase of everything that we do here in Austin, Texas, of all of the culture that we have here, of all the diversity that we have. The court puts it on with Daley and I heading it up like we do everything. And so we try to make it the biggest public event that it can be for absolutely everyone to enjoy. But at the same time, it is a taste of real vampire culture. So that way, all of the vampires, not only from Austin, Texas, but from all across the world, can come in and feel secure and feel like they have this thing that is really for them. But at the same time, we invite the public in so that way they can get a good look at it and they can know who we are and what we're doing and get that feel for it. So that way they can really understand it and enjoy it, because vampire culture and the vampire communities that we have here should never just be for our enjoyment only, because we're part of this world. We're attached to this world. And that's why Daley and I, we've set up so many of our events to where we're doing something to give back to the local community through our charity work. And we worked with Blood and Tissue Center of Central Texas last year for the Austin Vampire Ball, and really tried to get back on that by getting a huge blood bank that came out. And we had so many people give donations, blood donations last year, and I'm really thankful for that. And this year we'll be working with them again and a few other different charities.
The Dell Children's Hospital.
Dell Children's Hospital.
We're actually hosting their adolescent teen party.
Yes.
Like 2 hours before the Vampire Ball. We'll be at the one of the hotels in downtown Austin hosting their teen party for all the kids in the cancer center. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And we will be, on the note you mentioned earlier, we actually will be marching in the Gay Pride Parade this year in September. We'll have the entire court.
Trying to get a big float pulled together. We're going to see if we can do that. We're at very least going to march in it. If I can pull together a big vampire float, then I'd love to do that.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool. I'm sure y'all would come up with some really cool things for that float, and I'm sure that would be an eye catcher, because, I mean, everybody has, and I know Melissa told me to ask you your thoughts on this, because I can't wait to see Logan's reaction. Zach Bagans has come out with a Father Sebastian project that is cracking me up so much that I want to die. called The Vampire Adventures.
Okay,
this is what I was waiting on, is his face, because she said his reaction will be priceless. So
we're going to tread lightly on this subject. We're going to tread lightly.
It's
okay.
Let me preface this by saying that I never had or have had any problem with Father Sebastian Todd personally at all. When I met him, I thought he was a rather fun, if not quirky.
He's a good businessman.
Yeah, he's a fun, if not very quirky guy. But
good events.
I've seen Zach's show, and he seems like he has some knowledge of the paranormal. Some. I don't know how. Ghost Adventures is, to me, something fun to put on Netflix every once in a while. It's
entertaining.
If I need some good entertainment, in a certain way. But having known Father Sebastian and having seen the last few projects that he's been trying to pull together,
he's a great businessman.
He's a very good businessman. It seems to me that he is very, very interested in getting a reality show. I don't know if he particularly cares what it's about. And if he doesn't, hey, that's fine. More power to him. You know, whatever you want to do.
He's a great businessman.
But when it comes down to it, personally, Daley and I, we've always had a viewpoint that if you're going to do something aimed at vampire culture, then it should really be embracing all of vampire culture and all of the different sides of it, rather than just maybe what one person's views are for how the entire world should behave. And so, with that in mind, I am interested. I am interested to see the show and to see the quality of the show. I am not entirely certain that it will be something that I will embrace in the same way as some of my favorite shows. I don't know if it will have everything that I'm looking for or everything that the vampire community is looking for. Am I being PC enough here?
You're really wonderful. I can see you holding back your way you truly feel to be PC. So
it's not so much holding my true feelings back as I never want anyone to take anything that I say out of context, because honestly, I really do wish everyone great success in everything that they're doing. And as Daley was saying repeatedly, I believe that Father Sebastian is a great businessman. And I believe that he is one of those people that he does have enough experience in the vampire community over the last 20 years to have a good understanding of what he's talking about. Unfortunately, and this is just my own personal opinion, and if you want something, off the cuff and real here, I'll tell you. In my opinion, Father Sebastian would be much better served lightening up a little bit in his interpretation and communication with the rest of the vampire community, because I believe that his scope for what he sees as vampires and who vampires should be is a little bit pigeonholed to his specific beliefs and not so much embracing to the absolute, well, not absolute, but to the overall expansive ideologies that there are in the community, of which there are many. And if he would lighten up, and he would
accept the diversity,
if he would accept the diversity of the vampire community and strive a little harder to work with a lot of the other members of the community, I think that show could be a wonderful success if he were to do that. And Daley and I have some projects that we're working on right now that while given the context of this conversation, I would love to talk about. I cannot at this point in time confirm. But I'll end by saying this. No matter what other projects there may have ever been in a similar vein, or how good or bad or anything in between, we both wish them well and wish them the absolute best success that they can have in any of those adventures, ghost or vampire. And we are going to personally strive to make sure that whatever we produce is going to be that kind of vision that we're saying we'd like to see. Because it would be rather unfair of me to say, oh, well, you guys should do this way or that way because I'd like to see it, and not do it myself. So we're going to put out some things that we believe captivate exactly what I was just saying. And if anybody else has projects in a similar vein, well then, God's bless them. I hope that they succeed in that the best they can.
Well, I do hope your project gets off the ground. I know that everyone around it has been sworn to secrecy, but
we're off the ground. We're just in mid-flight.
Right.
We're here. So
I'm totally looking forward to that. Now, I was also wanting to ask Daley on True Life, on the True Life episode. My cousin was wanting to know also, just like that girl did, or the guy that asked you, if you can turn me into a vampire, I'll buy you any drink in the house. Well, my cousin has a question on, she's always been fascinated with vampires, and she wants to know how you can become a vampire. And I recall you saying you can't become a vampire, you're born a vampire. So kind of explain that, Daley. How do you know you're born a vampire?
Most of the time, the most common opinion on it is that vampires are born a vampire and that they awaken later on in life, normally around puberty. There are a few different thoughts and opinions on being turned that I definitely don't dismiss 100%, but it's definitely not something that is, it's more of a taboo subject.
Yeah, it's not commonly accepted.
It's not commonly accepted.
Essentially, the important brass tacks on turning is awakening. We don't use the term turning because it is so Hollywood,
Yes.
taboo.
Yes. I guess it's watched Twilight, so
But when it comes down to it, the basic principle of it is no matter what you believe, whether you believe that they can or can't be turned, the basic principle of understanding that most of us commonly share is that you will only ever become a vampire if you were meant to become a vampire. Mm-hmm. It was something already latently inside you, something already at the core of your being, whether or not you had tapped into it yet or not. For those that come about it themselves, it's simply an awakening that they have, that they brought themselves to. Now, for those that believe that they have been turned or that they could turn someone else, what we're talking about then is a forced awakening. Mm-hmm. Taking someone that already had that in them and helping to bring it to the surface.
And that would create the mentor view.
The maker.
The sire. I actually myself had a maker or sire when I was 15 that helped me to awaken.
Wow.
And he took on that responsibility of teaching me and helping me learn and teaching me how to feed and how to survive essentially as a vampire. But I would have awakened on my own. It may have just been later on in life. So helping someone to awaken would be that stereotypical turning that people think about in Hollywood.
And there is a bond in that, and I've seen it before. Again, I stress very highly that in my opinion it is that bringing someone to the awakening that they would have already had, just bringing it through earlier, taking them to something that was already inside of them. There is no bite me on the neck, drain my blood, replace it with yours, let's dig a hole and then wake up vampires. That's not how that
sounds like a drunken Saturday night to me.
Yeah, no, it may be fun, but it's not going to turn you into a vampire.
Well, it sounds like more like in my community, turning a stray girl. You know what I'm saying? She's already got it inside of her. You just got to awaken it, right? So that's kind of I totally relate there.
Well,
we have a question. In the chat room, sorry about that. We have a question in the chat room that says, "Are there similar courts of werewolf communities?" Do y'all? All right.
In Austin, Texas, and I can't speak for anywhere else, but in Austin, they hate the term werewolf. They go by wolf. Simply, because to claim werewolf means that you are transitioning from man to wolf. And yeah, and this is the dividing line for them, is that you have plenty of crazy people out there who believe a lot of crazy shit, and they will look at you and tell you, hey, don't piss me off because I'm gonna turn into a giant wolf and then you'll be sorry. I've met people like this, and they're absolutely out of their fucking mind. And so you have those who fit your psychological definition from the late 1800s of lycanthropy, where someone believes that they're going to shift into a wolf. And that was originally a medical term that was used in the psychological community, studying people that actually thought they were going to do that. And so with those people, steer clear from them. On the other hand, you have in Austin, they would call themselves wolves, and as far as what they would have as far as a gathering would be a pack, and they don't have a court, they would have a pack, because that is the wolf mentality, to gather those under their alpha, taking charge, leading them through the best way that they know how to live in that primal animalistic kind of understanding, which does not necessarily refer to anything in just like anger or violence, which is a common misconception. Actually, the wolves that I know have usually been the most docile, caring, wonderful individuals that I've ever had the good fortune to meet in my life. But if provoked, they can be rather savage. But yes, they have packs. I have a great friend, my best friend. He's a wolf, and starting to come to some understanding of some other parts of his nature as well. And he's a great guy. But yeah, that would be a pack. And there are plenty of others outside of vampire and wolf that exist, and we refer to them in broad terms as otherkin, or therian for those that believe that they attribute to multiple animal natures, or could. So,
well, I definitely mentioned otherkin, and I didn't understand what that meant, so I appreciate you explaining that. I was like, what is that? So I was going to go Google that.
It's just a broad term, something other than,
Okay. All right.
Though there are some that associate it specifically with very specific subtypes, and they'll tell you, well, otherkin only means these groups here. Well, commonly over the last few years, we've all just kind of come to embrace otherkin as the broad spectrum term for everything other than human. But there are still those folks there who will go, no, it only means this section, and you get plenty of uppity people all over for every different type of community, and ours is no different. So we get plenty of those that really just want to thump to whatever they had in their own personal scripture from back when.
So when you have your vampire court meetings and things like that, you discuss your events and things like that. Do you also have new members? You say you get applications all the time.
Right. Yeah.
What would take, like, say, someone who was interested to be a part of the court? I mean, they would have to be a vampire for one, correct?
Well, correct. Or we do also accept otherkin applications into our court as guardians or black swans. Okay. They have to be sponsored by a vampire, so a vampire has to take responsibility for their actions to bring them in. But essentially, if someone is interested, they'll send us a message. They'll say, I'm a vampire, I live in Austin or surrounding area. I would love an application, so I'll send them the application. They'll send it back to us, and we will have the council review the application. And, we'll discuss it, we'll go over each question, and vote yes or no on the individual. And after we vote yes, they'll go into a new bloods category. That's kind of our probationary period, which is about a 30-day probation. It's essentially to make sure that we're not allowing in any unstable people that could harm our court members.
Right.
During that 30-day period, they're required to come to a meet and greet or a court meeting or some other community grouping that where essentially everyone can get to know them. Everyone can get a good read on them, everyone can talk to them, and give us their opinion. After that 30-day period, if they've completed their application process and their meet and greet, then they're moved over into the official VCA group, and they're officially a member from there.
Wow, yeah, my wife was like, she always jokes with me and says, have you talked to your girlfriend lately? Which is, she's referring to Alyssa, and I'm like, she's not my girlfriend. But, not that it would be a bad thing, but anyway, you know, she's always saying, don't tell me you're going to want to be a vampire and all this stuff now. And I'm like, you can't just be a vampire. That's why I'm so glad when this is archived, my wife can sit down and you know, really get educated herself, because, you know, she was like me. She had never, ever heard that this was an actual real way people live. And so Alyssa has opened not only my eyes, but her eyes. And now I'm hoping that my whole audience, you know, if y'all have any more questions, okay, what kind of questions are on the application is what's in the chat room. So that's what's next. What's on the application? Not that you're going to tell everyone
about their history. We'll ask them if, first of all, if they believe themselves to be a vampire. That's the easiest question. And then, if so, what type? Have them describe whatever type they believe. Then we'll ask them their feeding habits, how they feed, and
what
and how often
precautions they take in feeding.
We'll ask them any history that they have with vampirism or anything from any other branch of other kind of occult studies, etc. We'll essentially just kind of take it like a job application, and it will just ask them to fill out just as much information that isn't necessarily relative on many of the questions, but gives us insight to them. It allows them to explore with us who they are. Different questions that may not seem very important on the application that simply allow us to kind of take down what their thoughts are before actually meeting them. Because with plenty of people, we give them the opportunity and they wow us. They come up, they say something about themselves that we would have never thought. And we go, oh, wow, that is an interesting person, and they seem very stable and very committed, and I think this would be a good person for the court. And then on the other hand, we'll ask a question, and then we'll get an answer from someone else that is so wildly off the wall.
I am 3,000 years old, and I was turned by my maker in before Christ was even born. I was at the crucifixion, and just horrible things, and it's.
And they'll go, oh my.
Every vampire that said that they were at the crucifixion were actually at the crucifixion. It would have been bloody Woodstock. Had to quote myself some spike there. Big spike puppy thing.
Essentially, the application is very easy for real vampires to fill out.
Yeah.
We've made it to where if you are a vampire and have any sort of knowledge of vampirism, you can fill it out no problem. Even if it's not 100% dead on and we can kind of see that you need some education, it's still pretty simple to fill out. People that are just coming in because they saw Twilight and want to be part of a cool club that they think is, you know, vampires, will look at it and go, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And so I'll send out a lot of applications and I'll never get them back from people. Mm-hmm. Because I think they get them and they look at them and go, oh crap. These people
not
are
a vampire.
For real. Yeah, these people are for real, and I don't know any of these answers.
We've probably got at least, 10, 15 applications a month, and probably sent out about 30 a month.
Wow.
So, we only get half of them back, and the ones that we get back, few of them are good, and. We've had a lot of new members come in recently, and our court is actually probably one of the biggest in the United States. And we got a lot of new members that just came in, and they're great people from what we can see. But plenty of those applications we got in, we looked over, and we're just sitting down there with our eyes this big on, holy shit!
Yeah.
What did you? What? You're a
what are you on?
Like you've got to either be on some serious drugs.
Yeah.
Or really trying to fuck with me. to right half of what I've seen on these things. Oh, wow.
And they're not even really good drugs, probably.
No, yeah, no. I'm reading through some of these, and like it's, I've always had this thing since about since about 98, 2000, where I always heard so many people from the vampire community just using the most ridiculous names, pseudonyms that I can think of, like, Lord Drakus Darkus Vlad Tepesh blah 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 the 18th. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Like, my legal name was not Logan South. I was not given that name at birth. That name came to me over a long period of time. I started going by Logan when I was 12 years old, and it stuck. It was a nickname that evolved out of something else, and it stuck, and it fit better than the name that I was given. Since I was 12 years old, everybody has used it. My parents use it. My friends use it. It's a clear distinction.
My name's real.
And then I always clicked to that name because it always fit me better. It was always something that was far more me than what I was given. I think at this point even my parents would go, yeah, no, that's probably. But and I see these guys that they'll go by the stat, or they'll something Dracula, or just like a name this long and hyphenated 15 times, and I have to just like sit back and go, wait a minute, why?
Yeah, why?
Why you gonna do that?
Yeah, Logan is actually my son's name. Logan Blaine, actually, which Blaine means gift from God. So,
awesome name. That's a good vampire name. See?
That's good.
He's really cool. And I might even be a vampire because for some reason I'm 45 and people think I'm 30-something years old.
There you go.
You're definitely over 45. I'll tell you that much.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Chip Coffee, who's a good friend of mine, thought I was actually 34. He was blown away. I said, dude, I'm 45. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, you're a psychic, dude. You should know this shit. He goes, I don't do weight and age. Are you kidding me? I'm not a freak show.
Not a carnival psychic.
Yeah, I'm not a carnival sideshow. Well, when is your next Austin Vampire Ball? When is that actually scheduled?
25th.
When?
The actual ball itself is October 25th, but we do a pre-party and a pub crawl before that.
Yeah.
So it's technically the 23rd through the 25th.
It's a 3-day event. Your ticket gets you into all 3 days, and we have a hell of a time with it. It gives people a full weekend to really come and enjoy everything that we're doing, Thursday through Saturday. And then, well, as she said, we've got the pre-party, which is going to be nice and casual, nice and relaxed. Then we got the vampire pub crawl, which we're going to have everybody dress in their scariest vampire wear and go down and terrorize 6th Street and all of the downtown area. And that's always a lot of fun. And then the final night is the ball itself, and that is our big blowout. We've got even bigger and better, more exciting entertainment than we've ever had before. And we just got on we've announced it already.
Yeah, we've announced it.
Andrew Daley on.
From America's Got Talent. He was the amazing goth opera singer that blew everyone away.
Wow.
He actually lives in Kyle, I believe. We met him.
That's close.
He's a great guy, and he said he would love to sing at the
He's going to
show.
come down. He's going to perform for us there, and that's a hell of an attraction. This guy is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing him on stage. And we got a lot planned around that. And, definitely some of Austin's best burlesque artists, like we always have. And, we're really looking forward to doing it in a bigger and better way this year. And as I said, we got a few surprises. And then after that, we are going straight down to New Orleans for all the vampires vampire balls down there. Ugh, trying to spit everything out. But the Bad Things Ball is one that we will actually be at for a majority of the time, because my brother Maven Lore is down there hosting it with his Bad Things crew. He's going to be doing a hell of a lot of stuff there. But we've got the Anne Rice Ball that we're hitting first, Bad Things Ball, and then Father Sebastian has his Endless Night Ball, which I'm sure we'll stop by on that too. Have a good time. It is a good thing.
Well, so I really, really appreciate you guys taking your time out and being on the show. And how can anybody get tickets to the Vampire Ball? Just give them the address to where they can find you guys and get your tickets.
We are about to have everything updated on AustinVampireBall.net, but until then, we have all of the information posted on the Austin Vampire Ball Facebook page.
Okay.
You can go find the link for the ticket sales through Eventbrite. Go there. You can purchase special price tickets right now. They will be going up later. So get a hold of them for as long as you can here at this price. And
through July 1st is the pre-sale, and they're way less expensive than they will be later on. So now's the time to get them.
All right. Well, thank you so much, you guys. And I'm sure my audience was completely educated this evening. I have to have you guys back for part 2. So there's a lot more to teach people. I know.
Oh, yeah.
We got to get the education out there and stop all this Hollywood crap.
Well, it's important that people know that there are about 500,000 vampires in the United States alone. It is by no means a small community. If you need any more information, there's a really awesome book. I actually have it right here. It's called Vampires in Their Own Words. It's by Michelle Bellinger. There's hundreds of books out there on the subject, but that is by far my favorite one. You can get it for $4 on eBay. Easy. Awesome. Purchase it. Amazing, amazing information in this book.
Absolutely. For anyone who's just kind of coming to that awakening themselves right now and they need those kind of beginner tips and answers, it's a really good piece of source material.
Well, thank you guys so much, and you have a great evening, and I will be getting in touch with you guys, and have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You too.
Take care.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that was the awesome king and queen of the Vampire Court of Austin, Daley Catherine and Logan South. And I hope that you guys actually learned a few things tonight. They are very, very cool people, and vampires are not anything to be afraid of. Hollywood has really screwed a lot of stuff up, and I think he handled himself well when I asked that question. So I do have a couple of events to announce. Really only one right now that I want to announce, but that is June 27th in New Orleans. Going to be there at the Andrew Jackson Hotel. A lot of my friends are going to go, and we will be with Randy Hardy, Kevin Betzer, Hart Fortenberry, and Chris Valençon. We'll be investigating the Andrew Jackson, and me and my girls are going to stay the whole weekend, so we should have a blast. I wanted to also thank my sponsors, who I have brand new sponsors. My first sponsor is Miss Hattie's Place, which is located in Belton, Texas. And you can always get down there for an investigation. It's an amazing place. It was an old brothel. Miss Hattie's Place in Belton, so check them out. The next one is Galena's Murder Bordello in Galena, Kansas. It is where the Shadows on 66 DVD that I was in with Brad and Barry Kling and Chip Coffey was filmed at. The place is absolutely amazing, and I actually have trips that I'm setting up as we speak. I have one available for staying at a John Wise mansion, which is haunted, and then we investigate the Kendrick House and the Galena Murder Bordello. So check that out on my page. And then my final sponsor is NOLA Ghost Hunting Tours, which is in New Orleans with my boys down there from Deep South Paranormal and Chris Melanson. We will be down there the 26th through the 29th. Y'all ought to stop by there, and I will be on a ghost hunt with them, I believe, on Saturday night. So give us a shout on Facebook at Fear Paranormal on our page. We also have Fear Paranormal at wix.com/fear-1. That's our website. We have all our stuff on there. Lots of cool things happening with Fear. Dakota Lawrence, August the 30th in New Orleans. He'll be doing 2 galleries at the Jumani Lounge, which the Jumani was is also a haunted location. So look up the Dakota tickets. Look up the trip for the Missouri trip that I have up. And next week, Randy Hardy with Deep South Paranormal will be on my show, so do not miss that one. Everybody have a great week. Peace out.